It's Saqib Uddin in London, and with me I have trainer Kevin Barry ahead of Joseph Parker's clash against Dillian Whyte on Saturday night at the O2 Arena. How are you doing, Kevin?
I'm doing well.
Kevin, it's great to have you back. Does the UK feel like your second home now?
Oh, we love coming here to the UK. You know, we've had 3 fights here in the last 9 months. You know, we love the people. We've stayed in the same hotel each time. You know, so we're well known here now. We have a great relationship with David Hay and his team, and you know, they tell us when we come to town, his gym's our gym, and so you know, things feel really good for us here.
Does it feel you're almost back here for redemption?
No, this is 100%. This is our redemption fight, and I've openly said that ever since the fight was signed, that this is Joseph Parker's redemption fight. There is no doubt about that. You know, this fight to us is righting a wrong. You know, there were things that were good in the Joshua fight, and there were things that weren't so good, you know, and that's also because we were fighting a very, very good opponent. But, you know, Joe's defense was good, his movement was good, his offensive game that has been one of the main things that has got us all the way to the title and excited the boxing fans. These fast, explosive combinations weren't there in that fight. They will be here in this fight with Dillian Whyte. This is our redemption fight.
It's been 3 months now since the defeat to Anthony Joshua. Obviously it didn't go to plan. Have you looked back at the fight? What did you make of the contest overall, and how did you assess Joe's performance? Well,
as I just said to you, you know, his defense during that fight was very good. His movement in the fight was very good. It's just that we weren't punching off that movement. So, you know, Joe knows that at the end of the 12 rounds, when the fight was over, he had so much more energy left in the tank. He wished he had emptied the tank. He wished he'd picked the pace up a little more and you know, chanced his arm a little more in those later rounds. Look, I remember saying to Joe after the 6th round when he came back to the corner, I said, this fight is an even fight. This is our fight to win now. And you know, and I think he knows that it was, and wishes he'd done a little more in the second half of the fight. I can promise you, next Saturday against Dillian Whyte, Joseph Parker will throw a lot more punches. He has to throw a lot more punches because the guy that we're fighting against is a very physical, a very in-your-face sort of guy, a guy who would like nothing more than to fight Joseph Parker in the telephone booth. But we're fighting him in a boxing ring, and there's going to be a lot of offense coming from Joseph Parker on Saturday night.
Well, being in and around with Joe, seeing his every movement in the gym, what have you made of how he's reacted both mentally and physically after the Joshua defeat? Well,
you know, Joe's a very deep guy, and I know there's something burning in his stomach from suffering his first defeat. You know, a lot of people, when they have their first defeat, you know, it takes them quite a while to get over it. You know, a lot of people would have also thought that, you know, coming off a fight like Anthony Joshua, you know, the biggest fight of the year in front of 80,000 people and sold to 140 countries around the world, that we would have taken 2 or 3 easy fights just to get Joe some wins behind his name and then have another run at it. But Joe said to our team, I don't want those fights. I want the biggest name and the biggest fight that you guys can get me into. And if somebody would have said to me after the Joshua fight, you know, you guys are going to fight Dillian Whyte, I would have said there's less than 1% chance that we would fight Dillian Whyte. But boxing it's a funny business. Things change very, very fast. And you know, here we are, and I think, you know, because of taking a fight like this, I think we win the respect of a lot of the boxing fans from around the world. The fact that we've gone straight back into a big fight, a dangerous fight, a fight that's very dangerous for Joseph Parker, a fight that's also very dangerous for Dillian Whyte. There was, you know, Dillian Whyte did not have to fight Joseph Parker. So this is a fight where both guys have a lot on the line, and the winner of this fight will be in a tremendous position moving forward.
Most big fighters in Parker's position tend to take a few years to get themselves in a big fight. Why are you so confident for your man to take on Dillian Whyte on Saturday night as the weight for ahead?
Well, you know, as I just said to you, Joe wanted the biggest fight that we could put him into. I know what sort of fighter Joseph Parker is. And as I mentioned to you before, Joe, I know that Joe's very hungry. He's hungry to put a wrong right. And he knows that the Joseph Parker who lost to Anthony Joshua is a much better fighter. And he's going to prove it against the very good fighter in Dillian Whyte, a guy who's coming off an explosive, devastating knockout win. A guy who's ranked very, very highly. A guy who's #1 in the BC, 2 in the BO, 4 in the IBF. A guy who was in a very good position just to sit back and wait for his turn to fight for the title. But instead, he's fighting Joseph Parker. So there was a lot of pressure on Dillian Whyte in this fight. And there's a big chance of redemption for us in this fight. And that's what makes this a real boxing fans fight, where you've got two guys who, this is a 50-50 fight. You've got two guys who have a lot to lose and a lot to win in this fight. The risk and reward is huge. Well, listen, actually, from signing the fight to looking across the ring at Dillian Whyte at the O2 Arena, we had 7 weeks. Now, during that 7 weeks, the first week Joe flew 34 hours, halfway around the world. He flew from New Zealand to London. He had one night in London and then flew to Vegas. So the whole first week of that 7-week training camp, Joe was like a zombie in the gym. He had no legs under him. He was extremely jet lagged. So really we had 6 weeks for our training camp. And I said to Joe, this is a really, really big ask. But he came back to me for this camp weighing 110 kilograms. When we started the Anthony Joshua training camp, Joseph Parker was 120 kilograms. So he came back in shape. And I said to Joe, once we get over this first week of jet lag, we need to make every day a winner. And he said, Coach, we're going to. The 4 weeks after the jet lag week were probably the best 4 weeks of training that Joseph Parker has given me in our 5.5 years together. You know, we sparred 102 rounds in 4 weeks. We changed our strength and conditioning program around. We tweaked a few things. We changed different times, and everything sort of worked very well for us. You know, we come here to London very confident, very well prepared, very determined, and ready for redemption and putting on a big show next Saturday night at the O2 Arena. Well, you know, we'll find out, but I can definitely tell you this: the guy that I have in the gym is a far more determined, hungry guy than the fighter that I had in the gym before the Anthony Joshua fight. Well, we always look, you know, styles make fights, and I've always liked, for Joseph, I've always liked opponents that come onto him. And Dillian Whyte doesn't know how to fight any other way, so we know he's going to come. And you know, that's why, you know, we had no hesitation. You know, when this fight was first offered, you know, within 20 seconds we were on board for this fight. We like this style for Joe. You know, Dillian Whyte was talking about, I don't bring you running shoes or anything. Don't worry about any running shoes. Just make sure he comes. Well, we haven't knocked anybody out for, I think, the last 4 fights. So, you know, we're very, very hungry for a knockout. You know, and of course Dillian's coming off a sensational knockout victory. So, you know, there's going to be fireworks in this fight.
What did you make of Dillian's performance?
No, look, I think Dillian Whyte is a guy who has earned his stripes, a guy who has never dodged opponents. You know, we're well aware of his tough background. You know, he's a physical, in-your-face sort of guy. He's a guy that is not afraid to take 2 to give 3. You know, he's a fan-friendly fighter. And that's why, you know, on paper, this fight is a real barn burner.
The last two fights you've had in the UK, you've been with the referees before. But this time around, you have a British referee in John.
Well, look, we have. We thought that it was about time that the BBBOC actually, gave us a referee that actually could control a real heavyweight event, and we didn't have it in the Joshua fight. Obviously, we had a guy who was out of his depth. We had a guy that shouldn't have been in that position for a fight of that caliber. But John Lewis is a very respected referee, and we applaud the BBBOC's appointing of him. It's a guy I've watched him many times referee, and I think he's the leading referee here in the UK.
You've been with Joe for over 5 years now, and you've still become a world champion, 3 title champions, and fighting in front of 80,000 people. What have you made of the progression of Joe?
Well, obviously Joe's credentials as a fighter speak for themselves. He's done outstandingly well, being New Zealand's first ever heavyweight world champion. But having Joe living in my house with me, I've watched him grow up a lot in the last 5.5 years. So he's now the father of 2 young daughters. I've watched him develop into a man that I consider myself like a surrogate father, where he's a wonderful human being, and I have so much love and respect for the person that he's turned into. He's a great human being.
Lastly, Kennedy, give me an insight of what we can expect from Joseph Parker against Dillian Whyte that Saturday night.
Well, Saturday night, everything going to plan. If Joe takes what I've been seeing in the gym, we're going to see a very clever, a very precise performance by Joseph Parker. We're going to see somebody putting his combinations together, and somebody just having too much skill, too much speed, and too much firepower for Dillian Whyte.